What's up, you guys? Namicon here, bringing you my perspective as to what entertainment is bringing us. And welcome to another unfiltered, unscripted discussion video. And this time, I will be talking about, I'll be celebrating 20 years of Linkin Parks' second studio album, Meteora, one of my favorite albums of all time. And I'm not celebrating this alone. And I got two other people with me. The first person I'm gonna mention the first person I'm gonna mention is a returning member of the discussion series. He is a fellow content creator, and his name is Bubba Brix. How are you doing today?
Hey, how's it going? Actually, that's not my name anymore, but it's very similar, but that's okay.
Okay, sounds good.
I actually
And
changed it recently, but to BF Bricks, but that's okay.
okay, that's fine. But and another person I'm introducing is a fellow music lover who I've met in a music community Discord server. His name is Chris Doman. How are you doing today?
Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for inviting me on. Glad I could come on to talk about an album that you and I both absolutely love, and apparently all three of us love. So let's celebrate 20 years of one of the best albums of the 2000s.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, but before we delve into Meteora, I'm gonna first talk about how were we introduced to Linkin Park. So my first introduction to Linkin Park was Michael Bay's Transformers with What I've Done, New Divide, and Iridescent, and I've had heard Leave Out All the Rest in passing, but that was years ago. It wasn't until in high school where I started to delve deep into their music, and Dave instantly became my one of a top three favorite band of mine. They still are to this day. Well, how about you, Bobby?
So my older sister, she grew up with like an iPod, and so but she had one first, and she just happened to have some Linkin Park music on there, like similar to what you said. What I've done, leave out all the rest. I think she might have had some music from Meteora, but I doubt it. I think it was just Minutes to Midnight because I think that's when they were like they were taking off of like Meteora and stuff. I mean, we weren't old enough. Me, you, but I mean, you and I, Darwin, weren't really old enough to know of them or how big they were at that time. But I think with Minutes to Midnight, they were like a household name. Like they were being, they were always coming to like the Nick's Choice Awards and being nominated.
Oh
So
yeah,
I think a
I
lot. I think a lot
forgot.
more people had their music on like their phones or their iPods by the third album.
I
But that's basically how I heard about them. I did eventually hear like New Divide for the second movie, but I don't even remember if I saw the second movie, so I don't even know how I heard that song. But yeah, that's essentially it. My sister kind of indirectly introduced me to them.
I
Oh,
for,
also, sorry, Guitar Hero World Tour had What I've Done on there as well, so that was also why.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I forgot that they were nominated for the Kids Choice Awards at one point. That was
Yeah,
crazy.
several times. Yeah,
Several
I don't know if they
times.
won though. I
No,
have to
I
look
don't.
that up.
No, I don't think so.
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, of course. And how about you, Chris? How were you introduced to them?
So my journey with Linkin Park starts in 2005. I had stumbled across and to take it back to the very early days of YouTube when when it was just a haven of funny things and AMVs ruled the online space.
Yeah.
Someone had done an AMV for Breaking the Habit, and for myself, I was not exactly in a great place at the time. And coming across that song, as we'll get into later, but that song managed to really speak to me on an incredibly personal level. And I found myself being like, okay, I gotta start listening more to this band. Then I found One Step Closer on the radio. And then within weeks, I owned both Hybrid Theory and Meteora, as well as their Live in Texas record. And, then of course, by the time Minutes to Midnight did come out the following year, I was already a massive fan. And to this day, Chester is still my number two favorite vocalist of all time. And one of my biggest influences as a songwriter, as a performer. And this album spoiler alert, is my number 2 album of all time.
Yeah,
number one being
Waking the Fallen by Avenged Sevenfold.
Okay.
Yeah, Meteora is like in my top 3, like easily. Like
I want to say I researched the Nick Kids Choice Awards thing.
Yeah,
they were nominated 2008, 2009, 2010. They didn't win any of the times, which is a huge robbery, honestly.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I bet. Oh, you know what? One year I think Daughtry won. I was like, Daughtry won over Linkin Park.
Daughtry won over Linkin Park?
I know they were nominated the same years that Linkin Park was.
Granted, they were a pretty big deal around that time.
I never really got into them. I never really did. I don't know.
I've only heard like a couple of songs from Daughtry, but yeah, I haven't listened.
Yeah, this is turning into a Daughtry discussion.
No,
sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. Anyways, let us go track by track on this album, starting with Forward. I know for most people this may seem like a filler. This may seem filler, but that intro does play a very significant part of the album for me. I think the glass breaking, I think it resembles one person being into being at a absolute breaking point where they just lash out at everyone and they lash out at themselves just because of what they're struggling with. Yeah, I'm not sure if any of you guys can relate to that.
I had to listen to Forward again just now while you were talking because of the 13-second song, and I didn't remember what it was. Yeah, that's not a bad way to interpret it. I never really interpreted it as anything like on that kind of level. I just thought it's just a simple transition they had into the second track with the instruments, but that's not a bad way to look at it, because considering the time, considering the themes in their music and stuff like that. Otherwise, yeah, I didn't have another interpretation besides a simple transition into the second track.
Yeah, and you, Chris, do you have like any other interpretations to that intro?
Not really. I mean, it just does a really good job of setting you up for Don't Stay, where you might think for a second, oh, this might lead into some kind of like instrumental beginning, kind of like what they did with Wake on the following record, but nah, it's just a quick little thing to sort of get you hyped up for the first proper song of the record, which, Don't Stay is. Oh, we'll get there.
Don't Stay. I want to say, first of all, that transition is fantastic. Like, yes. Honestly, I can't think of a better way to transition to Don't Stay. Don't Stay is literally one of the best ways to start an album. And this song literally sets the tone for what's to come in Meteora. Literally, Chester went all out in his vocals, especially that breakdown. He went all out on it. It's a fantastic song in my eyes. It was such a fantastic way to start an album. How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, I'm listening to it again now. I mean, I remember a large amount of this album. I'm just trying to refresh myself. I really love the guitar in this song. Just like, I don't know if you call it a riff, but just like the melody of the guitar in the background, and like, the record scratching is a cool touch too, but really just the guitar is when I think of the song, I think of the guitar over anything else. It's a great opening of the album, like you said. If they had swapped it with anything else, I don't think it would have been nearly as effective.
Yeah.
Besides, of course, the fact that Forward is supposed to be a transition into the intro of the second song, like I said, but if that weren't the case, they probably would have just done a different intro track or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I like, it's not my favorite song on the album. It's not. It's probably not even my top 3 on the album, but as crazy as that might sound. But if, for example, let's say they switched the second and the third track, I really like Somewhere I Belong, but if they had put that as the second track, it wouldn't have been as heavy as a hitter for an opening track. So
Yeah, of course. And you, Chris?
As far as I'm concerned, this is a perfect opening for a record. I would even dare say that, like there's part of me that's always baffled me why Forward is its own separate track and just not attached to Don't Stay. But at the same time, I don't care because I wouldn't change one single thing about this song. The way that Brad leads the charge with the drop beat tuning, the way that Chester is on a completely different level than anything we heard on Hybrid Theory on this song. And this point has been made before. I've said this on several podcasts. Other people have said this across other discussions revolving around this album. But this song sets the tone of what your expectations are to be, which is we're getting Hybrid Theory, but we're just getting the best elements of Hybrid Theory and pushed to 11.
Yes,
because
sir. Yes.
to me, this song is one step closer without any of the cringe. And I love One Step Closer. It's a great song.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
I know what you mean too. I love One Step Closer too, but I can understand why people aren't a fan of it.
Yeah.
So hybrid theory in general to me is just I'm trying to keep this as a Meteora discussion, but hybrid theory in general has not aged as well as I would have liked it to. While Meteora stays pretty much the same in terms of quality. I haven't had a more negative impression of it compared to Hybrid Theory. It gets rougher and rougher as the time goes on.
That's fair.
All right, let's move on to the lead single of Meteora, "Somewhere I Belong." Now compared to the Hybrid Theories tracks, this is probably one of the softer songs on the album, but it is. I would argue it is just as effective as many other songs Linkin Park has made. This is
yes.
This is where they start to get. This is where Mike and Chester started to get a little more introspective, but it hits just as hard. I love Brad's guitar riff, and I love that intro that Joe Hahn did. It's iconic to me. Like I said, fantastic song, fantastic lead single. If it's still being played on the radio to this day, I would simply not change it anytime soon. How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, I really like this one. I like it more than the second song, "Call Me Crazy," but because I think the second one's more effective as an opening track. But I vibe with this one more. Oh, if you hear any kind of noises, that's the dog that I'm looking after. But yeah, I just really like this one. I can't really describe why. It doesn't like the screams don't the song does not have to be like loud screaming and like super rebellious or something. Those could be good, but like it doesn't have to be that way for me to really like it. This one's is a little more calmer in some sections, like the beginning. Mike's parts, Mike Shinoda. I just really like the yeah. It's like is it like acoustic or maybe it's actually an electric guitar, but the strings in the background.
I'll explain that in 2 seconds. Keep going.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I really like this, and I'm glad it's still on the radio. From what I hear on like 101.1 or whatever. It also is. I won't say who, and this is. I don't listen to this person, but there is a political commentator on the radio that my dad would listen to. He uses this song as his opening, his intro, or his transitioning when he has like, we'll be right back and we'll come back. So I find it interesting. It's that influential too that even politicians are using it, I guess. Yeah, this is probably if I'm just gonna have to say something like in the moment, probably in my top 3 on the album. I think this is just one of the ones I keep coming back to. And if you I'm looking at the Spotify plays under each track right now because I use Spotify. It actually is one of the most played tracks on the album, at least on Spotify.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like it actually has 240,000 more plays. 240 million more plays than Don't Stay, which is interesting.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, it is the lead single for Meteora after all.
Oh, it wasn't a single before it was on the album?
Yep.
Yep.
This was the first taste that we got when the album was getting hyped up, and it kind of gave everyone the reassurance that Linkin Park was still here as they were on Hybrid Theory, but it was an evolution. It was the next step. It was something that we could expect, something kind of different. And so you guys both mentioned that intro, and I love how that came to be. It's basically just started from Chester screwing around with a chord progression on an acoustic guitar in the tour bus during the Hybrid Theory tour. But what Joe and Mike did was they took that chord progression, recorded it, they reversed it, and then they cut up the sample so that way it was playing the original chord progression with that reverse sweeping sound effect. So it's beautiful how this band has always been incredibly collaborative, especially in the early days, where you take something really simple, but you apply a powerful message to it, and you add in great guitar work, great production work, which Don Gilmore, you madman, I love you. It's not surprising that this song did as well as it did as a first single. Plus, the music video is freaking awesome. So.
Oh yeah, the music video is amazing.
I actually don't think I've seen the music video. That's something for me to check out.
Yeah,
but
the music video is iconic to me.
I had a feeling that instrument in the beginning was like reversed. I had no idea what it was, but it was like it sounds like something in reverse. I could never put my finger on it. So that's actually really cool information to know.
Yep. Is there anything else you want to say about the song, Chris?
Okay, hot take. This song is in my bottom 3 on the record, but it's still a 4 out of 5 song for me. I still love it. So that it like the way that I make the comparison, another one of my favorite albums of all time is Gautier's Making Mirrors, the one that has Somebody That I Used to Know on it. And that song is in my bottom 3 of that album. And I still love it. I still love the hell out of it. So like, don't take me saying, it's in my bottom 3 as me demeaning Somewhere I Belong. No, it just means that I love the rest of the album more.
Yeah, that sounds
makes sense.
That sounds about right. All right, we move on to Line From You, which was only released as a promotional single. It was released only for the radio. They never made like a physical CD for it, but that doesn't detract the quality from the song. The song is amazing. It is it's basically what you expect from Hybrid for it's basically it does sound like another Hybrid Theory song, but the production is a lot more illustrious. There's a lot more it has more of the budget is a lot bigger. So if y'all get what I mean. But yeah, the song goes super fucking hard. It's absolutely awesome song. And I also love the guitar work, and the breakdown is fucking god. It is godlike. That breakdown is godlike. How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, the breakdown guitar, I definitely really love those parts as well. I always had the vibe that once you listen to the beginning of the song, after you get past the what sounds like violins, but it's probably just some synths or something that sounds like it. Maybe Chris knows more about that, but once you get into the guitar, like it really gets heavy. Anytime you hear that, like there and in the breakdown, it always reminded me of like it sounds like a freaking like almost boss battle or like a villain song. It just sounds like that's the shit you hear when like a boss monster or something comes up. Like, oh shit, why do I hear boss music kicking in? That kind of like guitar, like the melody and the power of that guitar is what I think of. Yeah, but it makes sense, I guess, because the song I supposedly is about like probably like relationship breakup issues or something like your ex, like oh like this ex is a fucking monster or whatever. So maybe that's kind of the vibe they were going for. Like, I want, like, if I'm writing this song about an ex-girlfriend or something, I want to paint her as a fucking demon or something. That's probably we're going for, like, boss battle kind of feeling, whatever. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. How about you, Chris?
That's definitely one way to interpret the lyrics. I always interpreted them more as being about, for me, it's always been more like just bad people in your life. And the fact that those people made you walk a path that you didn't want to walk down. But in fairness, either of those interpretations, are perfectly valid, totally legit. But yeah, no. For me, what's always been the big hook for this song actually is the instrumental. Between the incredible synth work and the DJ work by Mr. Hahn and Brad's guitar work, which, one of the great things I love about especially the first few records is that Brad was never afraid to do things that sound simple, but if you actually bother to try to learn how to play them, you're going to be, your hands are going to go into some weird places and you're going to be like, what is he doing? And just for curiosity, I did pull up the tab for Lying From You, and I forgot just how weird some of these chord changes get. And it's like, God bless you, Brad. You're nuts.
I think that's another thing. People give Linkin Park some flack for having simple riffs, but like they may be simple, but that doesn't mean it's bad. They're so fucking good. And a couple of the riffs may be more complicated than some people think.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you don't have to be, writing Dream Theater level material to have a good riff. Like, again, as we'll get to another song later on the record, simple is not bad. Simple will sometimes stick with you as long as the riff itself is well constructed, and just about every riff on this record could not be more well constructed.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yes, of course.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yep. And the next song is called "Hit the Floor." This is basically one of the shorter songs on the album, and oh my god, this is Mike Shinoda's song, like all the way through. I also love the guitar riffs in this song. It's a shorter song. It's a really short song, but my god, they basically do everything on it to stand out on its own. Now, how about you, Bobby?
Oh, I'm surfing through the song again, but this is the ones I remember not liking as much. Again, is it a bad song? Absolutely not, but it's definitely, in my eyes, one of the weaker songs on the album. I can see what you mean by being Mike Shinoda's song, because like he doesn't really, like, when it comes to like songs where he's like if they're singing and he's like the lead singer, that doesn't really happen till minutes to midnight. So I guess as far as his like rapping or whatever goes, yeah, he definitely stands out more on this song than Chester. Chester's barely in the song as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is about this one. I guess it's something you can't explain. The melody, the guitar or whatever, the lyrics, they don't stick with me as much. I do like this one instrument that's in here though. Like, I think you hear it at the beginning of the song, and you definitely hear it during the verses. It's like a little ding, like a little cling sound. Like you hear the guitar, but then there's sounds like clinging, little ding sounds, and it's a really cool instrument. I don't know what it might just be from the guitar, but I can't really tell. But it sounds pretty cool. Yeah, I don't got as much to say about this one.
All right, how about you, Chris? What are your thoughts on "Hit the Floor"?
See, for me, this is top 3 on the entire record. I adore this song. This is easily one of Mike's best raps he's ever done in his career, as far as I'm concerned. The production on this song, it could not be more immaculate. I love how Don Gilmore was able to mix up the sound of the drums, especially by giving Rob this very industrial, electronic induced sound that really brought a soundscape to the record that I think we weren't ready for, and that's good because it helps build the atmosphere for so that way when Chester comes in with what is, in my opinion, still his best studio screams, for at least from the early era anyway. And I will say, again, going back to the lyrics, the lyrics for this song, like I do know that the band was writing this more or less about their former management who tried to run Hybrid Theory into the ground as far as the recording process goes. But with the universal appeal, unfortunately, I did know a few people growing up who definitely these lyrics apply to. And I hope they no longer apply to them as people, but yeah, this whole song just hits me right in the nostalgia in good and bad ways.
Yep, understandable. Now move on to Easier to Run. This song is top. This song for me is top 3. I honestly the most beautiful song of the album, in my opinion. I love. I would just want to say I love the intro. The guitar sounds beautiful. Chester sounds absolutely beautiful on this verses. Just everything on this song sounds beautiful, and lyrically, it's it's about someone not taking their own actions into not taking accountability into their own action with their own actions. They're scared to take accountability on it, but it's because it's something that really that it is a huge burden to them. It is something that something really huge something really bad happens to the point where they blame it on everyone else. I I this song is absolutely beautiful in my eyes. It is so beautiful. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. Top 3 song of this album easily, and a top 5 song in their discography in my eyes. How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, I don't know if it's on my top 3, but it is really good. It's definitely an underrated track for sure. This is the kind of song I wish I heard more on the radio, but I don't know if they play this song on the radio anymore.
It was never released on the radio. It was.
Is that how that works? They have to release it for the radio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought of like someone who runs a radio station is like, oh, this song sounds good enough to play on the radio. That's just how works.
Well, like these days with online radio stations, that is more or less what they can do. But at least back in the day when, record labels were still drowning in money, yeah, it was more or less that management for bands and artists had to submit songs for radio play, and songs that performed well would stay on the radio and would get played over and over and over again, and songs that didn't don't. But this one never was submitted for radio. Although funny enough here, Darwin, I actually did hear this song a couple of times on the radio growing up, but that was from a couple of local stations that didn't really have much national affiliation with anything. So, yeah. But
okay. Well, yeah, this is just another example of just like it doesn't have to be a loud, powerful, kind of rebellious song. Like, not to say that songs like this can't be rebellious in theme, but like this is just a softer, kind of slower song. And it's really good. And yeah, I really like it, but it's definitely not on the top 3. As I'm talking about this, though, I have been trying to compile a list of ranking all the tracks from best to worst. So I'll get back to you on that at the end of this.
Yeah, of course. And you, Chris, your thoughts on Easier to Run?
Yeah, you kind of stole a lot of my points there, man. It's a beautiful song. Some of the best lyrics on the record. again, the production is incredible, and this is probably one of Rob Borden's best performances on drums. What he's doing here is so well timed. It's so well tracked, and it just does a great job of setting the vibe and setting the tones, moving everything forward. What I also am going to give a lot of credit to is again going back to the production of things, though, how it starts off coming out of Hit the Floor with the beautiful synthesizer work, and it just sets an atmosphere so that when the chorus hits, it hits you right in the face, but it knows how to lay back so it can ease you into the verses and then build up to it again. You know, kind of like how I said that Don't Stay was basically one step closer, done better. This song is Crawling, done better. And it's funny I say it like that because it's literally the same song structure as Crawling, with, I would even say, maybe even kind of a similar lyrical theme and similar approach to the song. And again, I'm not saying this as a negative. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Sometimes songs deserve sequels, and I would call this song a sequel to Crawling, but like a good sequel should do, it expands on those ideas from the initial song and does them way better.
If it is a sequel, this is one of those cases where the sequel is better than the first thing.
Yeah.
At least in my eyes. Well, we then move on to one of the fastest, with the shortest track on the album, and the second single for Meteora, Faint. One of the most successful songs that was introduced in rock radio. It was the #1 song on the alternative charts. Back then, it was called the Modern Rock Tracks. The song is certified platinum, and it deserves every bit of success it got. Holy shit, this song goes so fucking hard. It is so much fun too. This song makes me want to fucking dance. Maybe absurd because it is a metal song, but I don't care. This song makes me want to fucking dance. This song is so much fun. How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, I really like Faint. That was one of the earliest Meteora tracks I heard, even if it was like late 2000s, early 2010s. It was just one of those songs that I got hooked on. Even if when I wasn't really into metal all that much at the time, like screaming and all that stuff, I was just like, this is a hype song. How could you not like this song? The rapping is great. The screaming, the singing and everything is great. Guitar, everything. Yeah, so I actually just finished the ranking because it's just of all the tracks. But I'm just saying, Faint is probably my top 5 for sure. It's one of those tracks I just like to replay and go back to. You hear it once, you feel like you gotta play it again right afterwards. I just wanted to say, since it's not on the original album, but it is on the anniversary album. If we're including stuff like Lost, we'll get to that later, but that falls somewhere below Faint for me and above Easier to Run, since we just talked about those two. So that's probably like in my top 5 as well. So.
Yeah. Okay. And another thing for me is that if someone were to tell me that if there's like a Linkin Park song that I want to introduce to beginners, this is one of those songs that I would choose, and I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I don't think anyone would disagree.
Oh yeah, this one, or like if we're talking about this album, this one or Numb, great introductions.
Yeah, absolutely. And you, Chris?
This song is awesome. It is so awesome. Now, if I had to pick a favorite version, and like, because of course, like the studio album version of the album version of the song is great, But this song was made for live performances. This song was made to be just blasted in a live environment for the crowd to sing along. And like I'm just playing through like a couple of the live versions in my head right now because I've listened to it God knows how many times. And to this day, the two that stand out to me the most are the one from Live in Texas, which is incredible, and then also the version from Rock am Ring 2007, which has an extended outro, a shred-tacular guitar solo, and Chester just completely and utterly losing his voice. And I love every second of it. Holy crap. Talk about just an insane performance that can come out of this song. Like, heck, it's actually one of the few songs where I actually like listening to other people cover it as well, because like there are some songs that bands try to do by Linkin Park where it's like, okay, don't even try. Stop trying to cover Linkin Park. But this is one of the easier ones you can cover because it's just such a well done song.
Yeah,
So.
I agree. I'm pretty sure this is like one of the easier songs to cover from them. I'm pretty sure it's more difficult to fuck it up. I'm sure those kinds of covers exist. But we go on to Figure '09. This is one of the deep cuts on the album. I actually really love this one. This is an underrated song in my eyes. This is basically during the I really love the breakdown of this song. I love the guitar work during the breakdown. Chester's I love Chester's voice. I love Justice's yelling in that breakdown, and Mike sounding mad as hell. Yeah, this song is such a jam. It is an absolute banger. How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, I really like this one too. I feel this is definitely another underrated one. I don't think I had heard this one for a long time, like until I was really going through Meteora album and really all the Linkin Park albums in full, like several years ago when I finally started being like, I should listen to more full albums and not just listen to the hit songs and albums. Because like, you know, as a kid growing up, you're like, you only listen to what's like on the radio or something or like a YouTube video. But so yeah, this is definitely one of the last ones I heard from the album years back. But very good. I don't remember which song we were talking about earlier, but it was like how the instrumental of this is great. The rapping, the breakdown. I just feel like it's very similar to another song we were talking about earlier. I can't remember which one. Might have been. I don't even know. Yeah, no, this one I really like the opening. I really love the instruments used in the beat.
All right. How about you, Chris? What are your thoughts on Figure '09?
Top 3 on the record. This is again some of Mike's best, some of his best rapping. This is one of Brad's best riffs. This is one of the best choruses in any early Linkin Park song, period. And I will say that the live version from Live in Texas also does play a nostalgia factor here because, like, again, the album version of the breakdown, it's great. But that Live in Texas version where Chester completely goes unhinged, I'm here for it. Holy crap. He loses it. And I love it. You know, and it's kind of funny because much like I was saying with Hit the Floor, this song also has kind of a personal place for me. But unlike where that song was about, for me, it was about people that I knew. This song actually kind of it's kind of a mirror in the form of a song. And on the one hand, on the one hand, it bugs me for that, but it's definitely something that I have had to learn to pay attention to, and I appreciate the song for that. For for building that kind of relationship where I can look within and be like, oh, that's what the song is about. And yeah, it's a great sort of track for allowing you the introspection of looking within yourself and being like, okay, I have not been as great as I could have been, and like this is how I need to actually like get away from that, that side of me that's making these mistakes, and just learn how to live with that part of me that I was trying to fight against, if that makes sense.
Well said. Well said. Well said. All right. Let's move on to one of the most popular songs from the band, Breaking the Habit. Now, this song was their second top 20 hit. Reached number 20 on the Hot 100. It reached 15 on the mainstream top 40 and topped the mainstream rock charts. It is currently certified gold. This song went on a completely different direction compared to where it had a metal focus vibes. This one went on a electronic and alt rock vibe. A very common misconception on this song in particular was that it is it's about Chester Bennington, about his substance abuse, but it's actually this song is actually about Mike Shinoda's struggles. It's actually this is this is about Mike Shinoda's struggles. It's just that Chester just decided to decided to sing his heart out, and I can't think of any other way I can't think of any other way to change this song. This song is fantastic, absolutely beautiful, one of my favorite songs. This is a top 5 song on the album. Breaking the Habit is an absolute masterclass. And how about you, Bobby?
This one is what you call a certified hood classic. Like it's great. And I'm glad I'm still hearing it on the radio in like recent months. It's number 2 on my list for this album, honestly. It's just a really fun song, and of course it can have emotional relation or connection. People can relate to it in some ways, but otherwise it's just fun to like listen to or sing and blast in your car. This is probably one of the earliest Meteora songs I heard. I don't, maybe again it was from like my sister's iPod or just heard it on the radio maybe 10 years ago or so, but just a really fun song. I think it has a music video. I must have seen it at one point. I'm pretty sure it does have a music video, right?
Yeah, it has a music video.
Is it like one of those animated ones?
Yes, sir.
Yep. It's the anime one.
Oh yeah, the anime one. Yeah. It's honestly straight. I mean, maybe it's just because of the time. I don't know, or the growth of the internet or something. I don't know why there's always some sort of relation between anime and Linkin Park as far as the videos go. Even like Lost had a bit of an anime feel to it.
Although that one, from what I've heard, had artificial intelligence.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess they didn't have to do that, but it's like, I don't know. They thought, well, the lead singer's passed away, so this is big. I don't know. This would probably be easier to get his image in there. I don't know why they did that. No, anyways, great song, great lyrics, melody, tempo, just everything. There's not a bad or boring part in this song. This is like one of the perfect, like, early 2000s songs, honestly.
All right, and how about you, Chris?
This is the song that saved my life. I don't.
Wow, that's deep.
There's nothing else I can really say because, like, yeah, I have talked in previous shows of my own and other shows that I've been on where yeah, this is the song that actually did save my life.
Wow.
And the what did it for me was understanding Mike's lyrics about breaking the habit, which, and these days it has taken on a completely new life for me, and it's still in my top 5 favorite songs of all time. It's still my favorite Linkin Park song by a country mile at the bare minimum. There's, as far as I'm concerned, there will never be another Linkin Park song that hits me as hard as this one does. I listen to this album in full, I'd say about 2 or 3 times a year, because I still just love it that much. But whenever I get to this song, I always know I'm gonna tear up, because it takes me back to that time when I first discovered it. It always does. It's one of those rare songs that can always do that for me, and I'm grateful for that, because it reminds me of my own habits, I should say, that I'm still learning to break. And some of those habits, I don't know if I ever truly will break from them, but that's okay. Because this song was one of the things that got me to where I am now. And it's one of those songs that inspires me to keep breaking the habit.
Wow.
So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this is a masterpiece. It is the best song that they ever wrote, and yeah, good luck to literally any other piece of art doing that for me in this lifetime.
Wow. That's
Yeah, but it really is kind of awesome and powerful to think about how just music can do that for you, for anybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
Chris,
And,
if I can ask, actually,
yeah, go
when
ahead.
you were in that like bad place and you heard this song and it helped like save your life, was this when the album was new, like it was fresh, new, and you had just heard the song?
It was pretty new at the time, because, like I said, I had discovered it. So like I said, I first discovered it through an AMV, which, for any of the younger people listening, that was back in the days of YouTube, when you could basically get away with setting up a song to a clip, to a carefully edited clip of a movie, TV show, or whatever. Typically speaking, especially in the early days of YouTube, a lot of the one of the bigger ones to do was Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. That was a big movie to set songs by new metal bands and metalcore bands like Linkin Park and so on and so forth. And then not too long after, I did discover the music video, the anime music video for this song, which again just kind of helped me get some ideas for wanting to tell my own stories through music videos, which I can say for my own band that I'm currently in, we are looking to possibly do an animated music video, and I am sort of looking towards breaking the habit for some visual inspiration. So
Nice.
Yeah. As pay a little tribute to a song that does mean so much to me.
Powerful stuff, dude.
Powerful stuff. We move on to From the Inside. Not only is this my favorite song from Meteora, it's my favorite song from the band.
Nice.
This song really hits home for me. It's after going through what my uh parents keep arguing to the point where they had to split. It's this song is such an emotional song. This song is so emotional to me. It's this song. This is one of my. This song means so much to me. If it's such an it may sound like another high, it maybe sound like a song from Hybrid Theory B side, but I this song is not only so beautiful thanks to that piano riff, but Chester's is singing, Mike just being featured, Brad Delson's is guitar work, and the drums done by Rob Burton. It is done so fantastically. I don't think there's any Linkin Park song that will hit as hard as From the Inside for me. And it's a shame that this is the it's a shame for me that this is the least successful single, although maybe it was never intended to hit in the US, but yeah, it's a shame that it never caught on in the US radio, but thankfully Europe Europe got it. Europe actually got the song, but yeah, this song really hits home for me. This is not only is this my favorite song in like I said, not only is this my favorite song on Meteora, this is my favorite song Linkin Park has done. This is one of my favorite songs of all time. Yeah, and how about you, Bobby?
It's funny that you say it didn't really take off, at least at first, because just going off a Spotify play count. This is one of the more played songs on the album. Like again, more than "Don't Stay," which we were all agreeing on as, hey, that's a good starting track, and yeah, that's like probably towards the lower play count of all the tracks on the album. So all these ones where we say like, this one didn't take off, or this one, they're all pretty popular on Spotify, but that's just those things where like kind of not just like when a band or an album gets a cult following later on, your tracks get cult followings later on, so people's opinion just seems to shift. So this one seems to be pretty well liked. I don't remember which track, Chris, you were saying earlier it was in your bomb three, but you said you didn't hate it because all those tracks on the album were really good.
Somewhere I Belong.
Yeah, that's kind of where this one is for me on the bottom. But I still like it. Like I'll listen and be like, oh yeah, I don't dislike this one at all. Like I'll listen to it once in a while, but it's just I don't know if it's something I would replay right afterwards. I'd probably listen to this one once in a while, but I don't know. Again, it's just when I don't like a song, it's hard to describe it unless there's something like annoying, like a ringing in my ear or something. But there's nothing like that in this song. It just doesn't stick with me as much as the other ones. It definitely, what Darwin's saying, it definitely helps when you can emotionally relate to a song with the lyrics or even just the feel of the song, that it sticks with you more. And I guess I just probably can't think of a time that in my life that I can relate to the lyrics or the message of this song, if I am interpreting the meaning of it correctly. I didn't go back and really look through all the lyrics of these songs, so some of these are just they're going over my head a little bit, I'll be honest. But I still like this one. Again, like you said, Chris, there's no bad songs in this album. Or I could actually say different for like Hybrid Theory. There was like one or two I was like, I don't like these. But this is still fine. This is like 11 out of 13 for me, of the 13 songs on the album.
All right. And how about you, Chris?
For me, this is this is a karaoke staple. I love this song. And yeah, it's not even in my top 3, but yeah, this song hits hard. It goes hard, especially again live versions that can. I've spent a lot of time with live in Texas, and this track was always one of my favorites just because of how unhinged Chester gets in the breakdown. Just seeing him completely and utterly lose his shit during that section, it's something else. I love it for that. I would say, like, so okay, so hot take, and for my money's worth, this should have been the last song on the record. but we'll get into my big point when we actually get to the proper last song on the record.
I think I see what you mean. Like, yeah, this would actually be. It's something I can't really describe, but it would really fit as a closing track because "Numb," as good as it is, it's not. Doesn't really make sense as a closing track at all.
I mean, I would argue from the inside isn't that much better because don't get me wrong, this song's a fucking masterpiece in my eyes, but it it does end abruptly if you guys get what I mean.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I mean, I can understand people might think that if a track has a slower, more drawn out outro to it, that would be a good way to end an album and kind of let someone's thoughts settle on all the songs as it closes. But yeah, I never really thought about how just not getting too much into "Numb" right now, but like that one is great, but that really would have fit better in the beginning or the middle of the album, or maybe just like number 11 or something. Like, just I don't know why that one's the closing one, because that one ends kind of abruptly too, honestly.
Yeah, it is what it is. Well, speaking of number 11, let's move on to "Nobody's Listening." And now this song goes on a completely different direction. In terms of instrumentals, this is basically Johan. This is basically all Johan, and I actually do like the different direction Johan went with. And as for the vocals, this is Mike Shinoda's song. This is full frontal Mike Shinoda's song. I would argue this could be passed as a Fort Minor song, but yeah, this song is absolutely fantastic. It shows that Mike is a very capable rapper, and it is absolutely goes so fucking hard. Absolute banger in my eyes. How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, your comment on how this could just literally pass as a Fort Myers song, I totally see that. Absolutely. Um, I didn't know until later on when they were releasing what I assume were previously unreleased songs for Hybrid Theory that like I was that sample that goes throughout the song, like, but mostly you hear it in the intro and in the end where it's like coming at you from every side. I didn't know until later, of course, that song High Voltage, which was on Hybrid Theory, that was I think the first song of theirs to use that sample or that dialogue. But since that didn't come out until much later, this was technically the first one chronologically. So I thought that was cool. There was two songs, album to album, back to back, that used the same sample. Yeah, this is just another like fun song. I mean, I say fun because, but like a lot of these people who probably listen to the song are like, oh, this speaks to me emotionally, because of maybe family issues or just depression and stuff. But to me, it's just a nice like little bop, and it's very different from all their other songs. But it's a lot more like Fort Minor, like you said. This honestly could have just been taken off Meteora and put on Fort Minor. Yeah, so I guess I feel like this one's more of a Shinoda song than Hit the Floor, but yeah, it's just got like this kind of like East what would you call it, like East Asia feel with the is it a flute I'm hearing? I think the flute.
Yeah, that sounds like a flute to me.
Yeah, it's a flute. It also kind of reminds me of like that I don't know the song, but it's used in a lot of those old westerns, like the da 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 wah wah wah, like that. Yeah. That's the flute in that too. It sounds almost exactly the same, just a little sped up maybe, but it's probably not even the same sample. It's just a different flute. So it gives me kind of like a western vibe too. Interestingly enough, the chorus is great, instrumental is great. Shinoda's is just, again, this is one of those songs you can't really find a flaw in. This is probably like I think I put this like somewhere in my top like 8. It's on the top half of the song list for sure for me.
All right. How about you, Chris?
The song rocks. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And yeah, and I'll join I'll join the many who have voiced their opinions that this is one of the most underrated and underappreciated songs in their catalog, because it is. Not enough people are talking about the incredible flute work, the great sampling here, and the very solid, so solid work from Mike Shinoda on the verses. It's just so impeccable. I love it.
It's funny you say that's underrated, Chris. I think the reason it's underappreciated is because nobody's listening to it.
There it is.
All right,
there it is.
I was waiting. I was waiting for that.
Pun fully intended.
Absolutely.
All right.
No shame.
All right. The next song is Session, a fully instrumental song done by Mr. Joe Hahn. Honestly, this is an absolute great. This song's absolutely great. I actually, maybe a hot take this song, but I massively prefer this over Cure for the Itch. And while it may be shorter than Cure for the Itch, it does not detract the quality from it. This one is great. I actually really like. I love this instrumental. How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, as someone who had Cure for the Itch as their ringtone for a short while in the past, I never had Session as a ringtone. I massively also prefer Session over Cure for the Itch. And Session doesn't even have any vocals, whereas Cure for the Itch has some dialogue in the beginning. And you think like, oh, well, that adds more personality. And it does add more personality to that one. There's just something about the layering of the instruments in this. It just builds up more and more, like more and more instruments come in, or there's just more going on as the song progresses. On the surface, it sounds like it's the same song the whole way throughout, but if you really listen, it's kind of slowly transforms. It's a very nice song to listen to. I wouldn't say it's calm, but it's not like in your face either. And it's a shame, like going off of the Spotify plays one more time. Besides Forward, obviously, which is like a 13-second song, that's got like 15,000 plays. Session has the least amount of plays on this album, about 42 million, which is still a lot. But it's a shame. It's just like, I actually prefer this over like 4 other songs from the album, including the 13-second intro, obviously. I feel like it's like people just skip this one, or just like listen to like 20 seconds and they're like, oh, it's just an instrumental. And I don't like that. I feel like there's some sort of stigma. Maybe it's all in my head, but I feel like there's some sort of stigma. It's like, oh, an instrumental, like a full instrumental on an all vocal track. Like, nah, like I don't want to listen to that. I think that's sad, because I really appreciate this one more than not just Cure for the Itch, but more than a few of the other songs on this album. I don't know why I like it so much. It's just very chill to listen to.
I actually used to have that stigma of in all instrumentals. No, I'm good. But this song, Cure for the Itch, and Green Day's Last Ride In just broke that door for me. Honestly, it just.
What was that? What was that last thing you said? Oh, Green Day song? Or?
Last Ride In.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they broke those 3 songs broke the door for me. It shows that instrumental songs can't stand on its own against the other songs in the album with the vocals.
Like, I'm sure if Linkin Park did an album where it's like half instrumentals, half vocal tracks, or even just a few instrumentals, it probably would be a little more popular. But the fact it's just one standing out in a sea of 12 other, or technically 11 other vocal tracks, people just don't put it in high regard. It's just a little sad to me, but to each their own.
Yeah. How about you, Chris?
It still kind of baffles me that this song was one of the ones that won them a Grammy, but
Oh,
It's cool.
All right, I forgot.
It is.
Wait, really? It won them a Grammy?
Yes, I forgot about that.
Best instrumental performance in 2004. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Now, I said I liked this song, but I'm pulling back a little bit. I don't think it's worthy of a Grammy, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, it's not. But, you know, it's good.
It was a slow year for the instrumental scene, I guess. For a slow year for whatever this is considered, industrial or whatever you call this. Garage. I don't know. What would you call the genre of this track?
Instrumental. That's just all I would call it.
Oh, well, there's lots of songs that are instrumentals, but they fall under a certain genre.
Yeah, I think this would be probably electronic dance.
Dance? I don't know. I don't know who's dancing the session, man.
I don't know about that, man.
Oh boy, my favorite dance song. Let's go on the disco floor and dance to this session.
Yeah.
No, I would just say it sounds industrial. That's the best way I can describe it.
I don't know.
Sure.
That's some Maryland and stuff.
But yeah, no. Yeah, like it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, sorry, I guess I was slightly incorrect. But it won Best Rock Instrumental Performance.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, it really had no competition that year.
But do you like it more than Cure for the Itch? They're about the same.
They're about the same for me. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll put it this way. I don't mind listening to Cure for the Itch outside of listening to the record in full. I don't really listen to Session outside of when I'm listening to the record in full.
Okay.
I see. I get it.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
In fact, if I remember correctly, but my memory's probably shit, I don't think like in the following album, Minutes to Midnight, I don't think they do an instrumental, do they?
Outside of Wake, no.
Oh, wow. I guess this was just a tradition they had for like 2 albums.
Well, I mean, Wake does go for about 2 minutes, but it's basically just a long intro.
Yeah, I don't count that. It's got to be a standalone thing.
Okay.
Even though give me a second, let me listen to the end of this. Does it transition into Numb?
No, it doesn't.
It does not. Yeah, so that's definitely a standalone.
Sort of, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a standalone track then. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Then, all right.
Speaking of,
let's move on to the last song of the album and what is by far the most popular song on Meteora. I don't think any song comes close. Numb. When I start delving deep into this band, this is like the first. I'm pretty sure this is like one of the first. No, I'm pretty sure this was the first song I've heard. Because I was looking through YouTube and I searched Linkin Park because I just wanted I wanted to see what they're about. Besides the 3 songs I've heard previously, and yeah, this song's a classic. This song is a fucking classic. I love Justice's vocals, and I also love Mike Shinoda's contributions, even though it's minimal. But he was involved in the pianos. I really love the piano implementation. I love Brad Delson's guitars, and it proved to be this song proved to be super fucking popular. It literally almost reached the top 10 of the Billboard charts, but it did top the alternative charts and the mainstream rock charts, and it is certified 4 times platinum, which is fucking insane to think about. But yeah, this song's a classic. Is it a good way to end the album? Debatable, but yeah, this song is fucking great. Yeah. How about you, Bobby?
Referencing the Spotify play count one more time, this is the only song on the album to reach 1 billion views.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that sounds about right.
Interesting. And then the second, if you were curious, the second most played track was actually Faint. 460 million, my bad, not 1,000.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So like that's a huge difference between the first and second most played track on the album. But this is just Spotify. You'll find different shit on like iTunes and maybe any older programs that still have this stuff listed up. Like I don't know if Winamp used to like list albums or you just download shit off of some other site. I don't know, but yeah, honestly, I feel like if you listen to this song, like no matter what music you're into, if you listen to this and you don't like it, I don't know what's wrong with you, because this is like not even like, for me it doesn't even really fall under new metal, because there's not like, this is just like, there's some maybe a little bit of screaming and like whatever, but it's really just singing. The whole thing is just like it's melodic. It's very pleasing to listen to. If I could get my like 89-year-old grandma on here, but like, hey, what do you think of this song? I think she'd like parts of it too. I don't know, and she doesn't really like rock, so very good song. I this is definitely something I heard a long time ago, probably about 2009, 2010. Yeah, I might be wrong here, but I think I actually heard the Collision Course version of this before this one. Where I think it was Numb Encore, yeah, with Jay-Z. So I was like, that's if that's correct, that's interesting. That I would hear a freaking mashup before this one, but I definitely prefer this. Definitely prefer this over the Jay-Z remix, even though I like that one too. Yeah, I really like this. I don't have much to say about the music video. They really could have done anything for the music video. I guess they were really just trying to. I think it was it's just a woman with a time lapse, right? Living her life through a time lapse, feeling like hopeless or numb, I guess. No pun intended, but I think that's what they were trying to convey. They really could have done anything, though. They could have done another anime video if they really wanted to. I guess they ran out of time or money, or there's like, let's do something different for the video. I don't know. Yeah. Really, just a top notch song. What's weird is that it's 3 minutes long. It feels a little short when you listen to it, because there's like, where all these other songs have these pretty in-depth breakdowns after the second chorus, I guess you'd consider it. It's pretty short after the second chorus, and then goes back into the and then goes back into the chorus once more. But yeah, great song. I don't, like you said, does it deserve to be the outro or the ending song? I don't know. I'm gonna lean towards no, but I'm wondering if back in was this released as a single before the album came out?
Nope, not till after.
Wow, so that really meant that whoever bought the CD or whatever was listening all the way through the album until they got to this song. So maybe it is. Maybe it does deserve to be the ending song, because maybe it's like a reward. Like, hey, thanks for listening to all 12 other tracks of our album. Here's like arguably the best or second best song in the album. It's definitely up at my number one for the whole album. Just great song, honestly.
Yeah. How about you, Chris?
So yeah, once again, I don't know if Numb is actually in my bottom three, but it is towards the bottom in my personal ranking for Meteora. But again, take that with a grain of salt. I think this whole entire album is great. There's not a bad song here. Now,
sorry, I was curious about something real quick, because this is very understandable and very common with people who listen to like a song that they've heard a lot. Like, sometimes you hear a song that you did like or still like, but you heard so much on the radio or wherever you go in public, you're just like, yeah, that one feels a little overplayed for me. Like, I don't know if it's really like in my favorites anymore. Would you say like Numb was kind of like that? You heard it so much, it just went to the bottom. Okay, just curious.
Well, and partially for me, I haven't listened to the radio since 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a certain really bad song by a bunch of monster chugging bros about a very botched Robert Louis Stevenson concept. Killed the radio for me. Period. So
May I know what song that is?
The song was Jekyll and Hyde by Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah, I knew it was Five Finger Death Punch.
It was just so grating on the ears. You were like, "Yeah, I'm done with the radio."
Well, it was because my local radio station wouldn't stop playing it basically on the hour. So I was like, "Yep, nope." I was just done with radio. Period.
Makes sense.
And I've been happier for it since because Bluetooth in my car means I can listen to whatever the hell I want, whenever the hell I want.
Oh, dude, I can't speak for Darwin because I don't remember what his car is like, but I wish I had Bluetooth in my car. I got a speaker, like a speaker I just placed like on the passenger seat, and it plays Bluetooth off my phone. But I would love to have built-in Bluetooth in my car. That'd be great.
I don't got Bluetooth in my car either, but I can hear music on my phone just fine.
And you got a speaker as well too, right?
Yeah,
Darwin.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
If I don't want to use my phone for music, I can use my CDs.
True, you are way
Yep.
more of a CD collector than I say. You're way more. I barely collect CDs. I only have CDs because Darwin gave me them, and I appreciate it. But yeah,
Nice. But yeah, no. So I really do love this song, partially because I've been able to not let radio kill it for me. Because I've made sure that stuff I love, I'm not overexposing myself to. Like the only reason I would overexpose myself to is because I'm just listening to it constantly. But no, I just love a song because it's kind of like with Breaking the Habit. It to me, this is a definitive song for this band. Like, it would actually be one of the first songs I would show someone who had never heard Linkin Park before. This would be a song I'd show them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If there's someone that is interested in listening to Linkin Park, this is the first song that I would show them, or in the end.
Yeah. Yep. And it's funny that you say that because I'm gonna use in the end to transition to my big hot take in regards to this song. And I'm glad that I've gotten to discuss this again with friends, and I've even discussed this with relatively popular YouTubers. But I don't think that Numb is actually a good closer for the record. Or rather, let me rephrase that. It's not the best option out of the closing track, out of the closing for this record.
Oh yeah, I think we all feel the same way. Like I said, I think at least for back in the day when you had to go through the whole album. I mean, there's a skip button, but since it wasn't a single released before the album, it's a good reward for being patient and listen through the album. Be like, oh yeah, here's one of the biggest bangers of the album.
Yeah. And I do actually think that this song should have been in the same position as In the End was, where it's so I actually have on my Spotify a playlist where I basically put the record in my preferred listening order. Where here's the funny thing, I don't change up very much. The first half of the record from Forward to Faint it's the exact same. Don't touch it. It's perfect. But then I go from Faint to Nobody's Listening, Session, then Numb, and then close it out, Figure .09, Breaking the Habit, and From the Inside as the closer, because I think those three songs flow together very well. So just doing that little change can make all the difference as far as, like, the pacing of the record. And again, I'll stand by that. From the Inside does make for a much better closer because it has that grander sense of finality coming out of the last chorus. Numb, as great as it is, and it is a great song, it doesn't hit the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what did you say your ideal closer was for
From the Inside?
Okay.
Do you have another closing song in mind, Bobby?
Let me look at this one more time. I briefly went to Hybrid Theory because he was talking about the order where In the End was, and I didn't even remember where the hell that was in the album.
I mean,
that was
If
Oh,
I were to choose another closing track besides Numb, uh, maybe maybe easier to run, but
that's what I was gonna say. That's
Ooh.
exactly what I was gonna say. Because I'm listening to that again, and it's just that just feels like that song just feels final. It feels like triumphant almost, like the way that it closes too. It just yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's just the feeling that I have
yeah,
for sure. That definitely just seems like a closer for sure.
yeah,
Fair
absolutely.
enough.
Yeah, honestly, well, we're at the end of the tunnel. Well,
Oh,
with
wait. Well, thoughts on Lost if you want to.
I, I like Lost. It's a good banger. Honestly, and you, Bobby?
When it first came out, I wasn't into it for some reason. I didn't hate it, but again, I wasn't really into it. And then I kept listening to it, and I kept hearing it on the radio, and I was like, you know what? Actually, I'm really digging this, and now I think, like I said, it's somewhere in the top five actually for Meteora tracks, even if it's not on the original album. It's somewhere between like Faint and Easier to Run, so it's like 4A or 4B rather, if you have to put it by that kind of yeah.
And you, Chris?
Uh, it's towards the bottom out of the album proper for me, but it's still it's a banger. I do wish we could live in the world where it made the cut, but I am glad that it's now public. I'm glad we can now listen to it whenever we want. So
Honestly, I think a lot more people would have been pleased with the timeline where Session was cut and the Lost was put in there instead.
yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That seems about does it. Me, Ever since then, Meteor has become one of the most successful albums of the 2000s. Has sold around almost 7 million copies in the U.S. Is certified 7 times platinum. It has topped the charts, and it sold around 16 million copies worldwide, which is absolutely insane to think about.
And it probably sold a little bit more with the 20th anniversary.
Yes, sir.
I
And
had one last question. Do you either of you own any Meteor merch, like apparel and stuff?
Apparel, unfortunately, I do not. I
I
I do wish I did, but I just have the CD. And if I can maybe find it, I will try to see about maybe getting a
I
copy of the 20th anniversary full box set.
Hmm.
I
Darwin?
I have never seen Meteor merchandise. I've seen Hybrid Theory merch, but not Meteora.
Wait, no, but don't you remember, Darwin? I sent you like a link or something. I thought to a website where they were selling 20th anniversary Meteora merch, or I sent you a photo of a shirt I got.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
hmm, I don't recall.
You don't recall? Wait, I found it. I actually found it right here.
Okay.
Well, let me put that in the chat, and you could just look at that as a refresher. Oh, that's the photo, not the link to the message, but whatever. I sent you that photo. Do you remember that? It was the track listing shirt.
Nice. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that now?
No, actually, I don't remember you sending me this.
Yeah. No.
But yeah,
There it
this
is.
is a
There it is. You put eyeballs there, but that's fine.
okay.
So you did see it, but it's
I
okay.
did see it. Yeah,
Yeah, but I think I just came across like a link on like Instagram or something. It must have been like, oh, we've seen you like Linkin Park. 20th anniversary is happening. Blah blah blah. So then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cave. I think if the shit's not too pricey, and it wasn't. I don't think. So the shirt's cool. I'm glad to have a Linkin Park shirt finally because it's like, uh, ironically, a lot of things I like the most I don't have like anything like merch or shirts or anything of. It's just shirts that I get as gifts or whatever. Like people just assume what I like, and it's like okay, that's fine. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have Linkin Park shirt. So you should check that out, Darwin,
Yeah.
before everything goes away.
Well, of course. Well, this album not only was a super influential for rock music, this album was a pop culture movement. Yeah, I maybe a hot take to some of you, but I'm gonna stand by it. There were also great albums that were released during 2003. So Fall Out Boy's Take This to Your Grave, AFI's Sing the Sorrow, Evanescence's Fallen, and Muse's Absolution. But we chose Meteora because of how significant it was to pop culture in general.
Is your hot take that you're saying this is the best album of 2003?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't know you were going with the hot take. Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't agree, but it's definitely in the conversation.
Well,
it's in the conversation.
Well,
I think I had one more thought. I was going to say, Chris, since you said this is your second favorite album of time, obviously it must be your favorite Linkin Park album ever.
It is, yes.
Okay. What about you, Darwin? This is your favorite Linkin Park album?
Yes. Not only that, this is my third favorite album of all time.
Nice. I really wish I could ask you guys, like I can, but I don't know if you guys have this prepared ahead of time. I've actually gone through the albums in the past and ranked all my favorite of the Linkin Park albums from all seven.
I can do this.
Okay. So what would so unless you have a full listing, what is your least favorite at the very least of the Linkin Park albums?
Boy, am I gonna take some. Well, I have taken some crap for this one, but I stand by it. 1,000 Suns is still my least favorite out of their catalog.
I can understand.
Not because I think it's bad per se, but I mean, granted, I do think it has very sloppy execution for a good idea, but I don't think they were ready for pushing the concept that they were going for. Nor do I think that audiences at the time were ready to receive what they were about to give out, because I sure as hell was not ready. And while I have given it chances since, and I want to 1,000 Suns, I want to, but at the end of the day, I do genuinely hate it as an album, as a full album. I hate it, but it does have songs I do love. So it is kind of a conflicting record for me, and I embrace that fully. But
I really like. Of course I really like Waiting for the End from that. That made it on the radio. Blackout is underrated as fuck. That is a great song.
I'm glad you like it. I hate it.
Really? Okay.
No, see, that song for me personifies my thesis. Good concepts, horrific execution. Just horrific.
Huh. Okay. Well, I also really like The Messenger. I feel like that's a song you can't hate. That's literally just Chester on a guitar, on acoustic guitar.
Yeah, about that. Good idea. Horrific execution.
Damn.
Yeah, I think The Messenger specifically is a song where where I feel like it's better to hear it live than the studio version.
Yes, that's where I do agree. If I heard it live with just Chester and the guitar, that would be a different thing completely altogether. But in the context of the record, in terms of how it's presented, how it's produced, no. That was the wrong approach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I think a common criticism for the album was Chester Bennington in general. I think a common criticism was that he oversang.
He what?
He oversang.
Okay.
He sang way more than he should.
Oh, at first I thought you meant he sang too hard, but you meant like he was singing too much. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
No. See, that's where I'll disagree, Darwin. I think is just he was incorrectly used on the record.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, because it was definitely a much less metal feel, even if there is any metal on that album, and it's a lot more experimental and electronic for sure. So you're not hearing all that max potential from his voice.
It does kind of remind me of a comment in regards to the record that I came across a long time ago. I can't remember where I saw this, but 1,000 Suns, the best album Radiohead ever put out, and it's like, yeah, it's true. It's true.
That's funny. Well, so Darwin, real quick, what is your least favorite Linkin Park album?
One More Light.
That's fair. I mean, it almost felt wrong for me to think that, or like when Chester died, but I was like, who cares? I mean, like, it's been enough time now, especially where it's like, it's okay to say that. It's okay to be like, yeah, their last album before the main singer died was their weakest one. But you could still be like, that was still a good album or an okay album. Or it had good songs, like Chris said about 1,000 Suns. Because I really like some songs on One More Light, but it's very short and it's very underwhelming.
Honestly, and it's just kind of sad that that's the note that he had to go out on with the band anyway, because like we know he was a better songwriter than that. We know he was a better singer than that, and it just sucks. But it is what it is.
For real, dude. For real.
Like, I really like. I don't know if I like the original like version or mix that's on the album of Heavy. I like this remix I heard somewhere that I think I might have also heard on the radio or some YouTube channel. So I think the remix did that song justice. I really like Sorry for Now. I think that's a really fun, catchy song.
I highly disagree. That's my least favorite song on the album. That's
Sorry for Now. Crap. Damn. I like that one, man. I like Halfway Right. I like Sharp Edges. That one's not, the last one's not as strong, but it's, still good. I'm going back looking at this again. Yeah, 10 tracks, pretty short. I didn't like, but still, I didn't like half the album. So no. That's very rare for a Linkin Park album for me. Even the ones where I do agree are weaker, like the electronic era, wherever you want to call it, with 1,000 Suns and Living Things, where it's like, yeah, the number of tracks I'm starting to actually dislike is getting higher and higher, or ones that don't stick with me, but I still think I liked most of those two albums, which sounds like a hot take, but I don't hate 1,000 Suns and I don't hate Living Things, but Living Things is definitely down there. That's even lower for me. No, I actually, never mind. 1,000 Suns is definitely lower than Living Things. I'm trying to remember because it's really hard to say in the moment. I'm trying to remember if I actually think One More Light is the weakest one, or if it was 1,000 Suns, or if it was Hybrid Theory, as crazy as that sounds. Because again, that was their first album. It was great for the time. Some of those songs are still great, but that one just seems like it ages worse, at least technically, on the technical side of things, the quality of the songs, or at least the execution, as far as, again, the sound mixing goes. It starts to sound like this is like pretty rough around the edges. I really like Meteora, again, is my favorite, but a close second is The Hunting Party, and that slept on for real. Because when I heard that and I went through that whole album, I was like, this shit is not quite like Meteora. It's not quite like Hybrid Theory, but it's the closest you're going to get of the new albums. They kind of almost pretty much went back to their roots. They tried some new stuff, but they definitely were trying to go back to their roots with that. Whether it was because of backlash of their other albums, Or it was just like, hey, we missed the old days. Let's try something, but also mix it in with some new stuff. So I really like Hunting Party. If I meet anyone who's like, that's my least favorite, like, man, we're gonna have to talk, man.
Yeah, no, I have come around a Hunting Party in recent years, but I will admit, at the time, I was not happy with it because to me, I read into the subtext of Guilty All the Same as Chester basically being like, okay, fuck all of our old fans who only want the old stuff. Fuck every last one of you. We hate you. And as someone who was that around the time of 1,000 Suns anyway, I felt attacked. But I've obviously come around on it since then, and I'm like, okay, I was clearly just overthinking that song and a lot of the other stuff at the time, so yeah. No, it's definitely a favorite of mine as well. It's actually my number 3 out of their catalog.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad someone else can appreciate that album. Well, I actually got to go, so unless we had something else to say,
nope.
I guess that's it. Well, all right, this was very pleasant, guys. I'm glad we had this.
Yeah, of course. Dude. Yep. All right. So, all right, I'm gonna show all of my friends' accounts. And Bobby, where can we find you? You got it in Instagram, YouTube. What do you
doing? You could find my art account on Instagram under BF Brix. That's BF.BRIX, and then also on YouTube. I don't really make anything at the moment, but I'm recently graduated from college, so I got some time on my hands. Maybe I'll get back into it.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, basically just YouTube, Instagram. Yeah, that's it. That's about it.
And you, Chris, where can we find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me all across social media at Skywalker Doman. You guys can follow my band, Last Shot Redemption, at Last Shot MN.
All right, nice. All right.
And last closing statement: buy some Meteora merch. Buy a shirt. Buy something.
Yes, sir. Do it. All right. And as for me, make sure you like my video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and make sure you follow my Instagram, Backlogged, and Letterboxd down below. You can also join my Discord server if you want to. And that's it. See you guys.
Cool Discord server.
See you guys next time.